Good afternoon, this is Angela with Parker's Permaculture. I am sitting down in the orchard of my Portland, Oregon permaculture garden here in Zone 8B. This is the part of the orchard where my chickens and ducks free range, and I have brought in some cherry tomatoes for my garden to feed them as treats, and so they are hanging by very close. Also, about 5 feet from me is one of my beehives. It's about 90 degrees out today, and so my bees are bearding heavily, which is a way that they kind of create their own air conditioning and cool off the hive so that the larvae and the wax don't end up cooking. I don't need to worry sitting this close to the hive. This colony is incredibly docile. I am no threat to them. I don't need to have a bee suit on. I'm not going to breathe my carbon dioxide right on them, but neither am I going to worry about working in this part of the garden. To my right is a patch of motherwort, Leonoris cardiaca, that has volunteered here, and the bees absolutely love it. The tree in front of me, upon which I actually am resting my camera, is a seckel pear. It's not ripe yet, but I'm looking forward to a harvest of pears in the near future. The pears, as you can see here, are quite diminutive. I knocked this one off accidentally working down here, and I'm going to cut it open and see if the seeds can give me an indicator of how close this pear is to maturity. So today I actually want to discuss something that came up in a permaculture group where I am an admin. And someone posted a fairly innocuous comic that was pretty self-evident in its meaning. And I noticed in the comment thread that there were some really strong feelings about this comic. And a theme that got reiterated repeatedly, which is that folks are discouraged by a narrative that they hear in permaculture and in environmentalist groups. And that theme is that humans are the virus. The way I hear this statement phrased a lot is humans are a menace. We are a scourge. We are a virus inflicted upon the planet, and the planet would be better if we were eradicated. That if we as a disease species were obliterated from the face of the earth, the planet could heal. Now that may seem like a really extreme view to take, but it's fairly prevalent in certain areas of permaculture and in certain environmental circles. And gosh, I just really want to counter that with some good permaculture. While I don't have time to get into it in this video, I know for me, I have been presented with that position of the planet would be better if all humans just died out, and therefore we shouldn't have any children and we shouldn't reproduce. That has been shoved down my throat by a couple of prominent people in permaculture who are intentionally childless and really hold the view that things like plagues and pandemics and natural disasters are a good thing when they reduce human population, and that hopefully we will all die out. So I'm not going to discuss the myth of overpopulation in this video. I'll get to it in another one, but I do want to address the mindset that says the planet would be better off if people went away. Permaculture is intensely solution-minded. It asks us to look at all of our problems through the lens of how can this be a solution? How can the problem be the solution? And by that I mean, let's say you have an overabundance of slugs. You don't have a slug problem, you have an abundance of duck food. So flipping the narrative around, and instead of being negative-minded, instead of being someone who views all problems as something that we need to get rid of, how can we view a problem as a solution to something else? How can we view a waste product as a resource? Along that line of thinking that there is no waste, human lives are not a waste. Our current impact on the planet is out of balance. That's totally undeniable. So while we don't have waste products, we have resources for which we need to find a use, and resources which we need to bring back into balance for the rest of the system to thrive. It's no different with humanity. We are a species out of balance with the rest of the ecosystem. That does not make us a waste product. It means we need better design for how humans interact with the ecosystem, with each other, with the planet as a whole. So I know that some folks see us as this virus and feel that it would be better if the planet just went away. But I would really encourage y'all to instead think about how our impact on the planet, while currently out of balance, could be shifted and brought back into balance, and how, if that happens, humans could become such an asset for planetary regeneration. So I just want to quote someone named Josh from the group and something that he said in this thread, because I thought it was so well put and incredibly accurate and important for us to sit and mull over for a second. We're a menace to ourselves and our environment when we try to overpower and control nature instead of attempting to understand and follow its design. That's just so true. It's so true. Like, let's just sit and think about that for a second, because we don't have to be a menace to our environment. When we work with nature instead of antagonistically against her, instead of exploiting her, when we see that we are part of the system and not independent from it, we can really shift our impact on the planet from one that is exploitive to one that is regenerative. So can humans fix what we've done? Can we unlearn exploitive ways of living we've been engaging in for generations? Can we find a way to live in synchrony with Mother Nature, assisting her, facilitating a return to abundance, reaching greater abundance than we had previously even? Can humans be a restorative force for the planet? Can we be part of the cure instead of part of the ailment? I would also posit here that humans are not the virus consumerism is, extractive living is. The mindset of domination and exploitation is the virus if one is to be had. It is not us as a species, it is our mindset. The good news, I feel like, is that humans are evolved to be really good at changing and shifting our way of thinking. Using repetition and training, we have really plastic brains. We have minds that are really adaptable, and we can shift our focus and shift our mindset pretty readily. We are not a rigid species. We are incredibly adaptable, and that is one of our greatest assets. So how can we shift our worldview to normalize regenerative living? How can we become the solution that permaculture has told us we can be? So I would begin by asking you, how do you see humans as a resource, as a force for positive change? How can we reframe the problem to be the solution here? How can we get from where we are now to where we need to be? And use humanity, use people power, human intuition, human innovation as a force for building abundance instead of one that depletes. How can human beings begin to understand natural systems? How we are connected to those natural systems. We don't live independent of them. And how can we understand what role we play so that we not only can mitigate the harm that we cause, but we can actually build toward resilience? We are not a plague on the planet. We are part of the planet. We are interconnected with all other living things and with the earth on which we live. We are connected to the ecosystem. We're just out of balance within it. Our mindset is out of balance, but it can be brought back into balance. And therefore we can use our powers of design. We can follow permaculture principles in order to create a way of living that values the interconnectedness of all things, harnesses us as a solution, and promotes regenerative living. So I would encourage you to be really realistic in the way you look at the problems that we have caused, the ways that humans have had an extractive, exploitive, damaging impact on the environment. Let's not turn a blind eye to those things, because that won't help us. We have to face our problems head on if we are going to try and push for solutions to those problems. We have done real harm, but that does not mean that we are beyond hope, and it does not mean that we cannot be part of the solution. So when you feel that things are bleak and that you want to engage in that antagonistic, pessimistic thinking that we'd be better off if we were done in as a species, that nobody should reproduce and have children, that we should just die out, I would encourage you to look at the permaculture principles. Look at folks who are doing really good substantive regenerative work. Look at folks who are part of the solution and say, it's possible for us to be like that. It's possible for things to get turned around. So don't be discouraged. I know it can be hard sometimes, but we as a species can work for solutions. We can have a positive impact. The world can be a better place because of our presence. We can build toward regeneration. So thanks for hanging out with me and my bees today and my ducks and chickens. If you got something out of this video, or if it sparked questions for you or got you thinking about permaculture design and how humans can be part of the solution, I'd encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Also, feel free and leave questions and comments below. I have a Patreon in the description if you'd like to check out how you can support this channel on a regular basis. I also have a brand new sister channel, Parker's Hausfrau. You can check that out. It is linked at the end of this video. Thanks.